Just doing a little teeth cleaning. Make sure I don't got no leftovers in my mouth. Well, howdy, America. Welcome back to another episode of Cautionary X here with Cowboy Rick, aka Uncle Rico. For those of you new to the show, we're just going to be going through the headlines. That's it. Yesterday, we picked CNN, Fox News, ESPN, and TMZ. Today, we're going to go a little bit more into the extremes. We're going to go to MSNBC. We're going to go to Breitbart. And we're going to go to Perez Hilton. We're going to throw in CBS Sports Network. No need to pet a pig. Let's just get right into it. This is MSNBC. Somehow, Melania Trump's beluga whale tweet is just right for this indictment watch moment. Underneath that, Arizona fake elector shocks MAGA world with anti-Trump revelation. Former press secretary and MSNBC mouthpiece Jen Psaki.
For how long has the administration been spying on people's Facebook profiles looking for vaccine misinformation?
Well, that was quite a loaded and inaccurate question.
To GOP candidates defending Trump. What is your end game? Grand jury could vote Tuesday on whether to indict Trump or not. Let's just dive right in here because we know, as you can see by the blue all over, MSNBC is very liberal, very progressive, and very much has hard-ons for Donald Trump. So much so that all they do is talk about Donald Trump and racism 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you want to hear about how white people are awful, America is systematically racist, and Donald Trump is the grand wizard of the whole thing, tune into MSNBC, and I guarantee within 10 minutes of watching, you will see either Trump or hear the word racist,
racism,
1,000 cuts of racism,
shared experience, misogynistic, intolerant, prejudiced, homophobic, Islamophobic. Fill in your favorite bait word. MSNBC is the cockwort on American media.
I know that makes many people on the left uncomfortable.
And politics. They have done more of a disservice to America in the past 5 to 10 years than any media outlet in the history of America. They're as close to state-run media as NPR and PBS. Oh, you're crazy, Cowboy Rick. Those are some conspiracy theories. Yeah, well, the sad thing about conspiracy theories is there's always a nugget of truth hiding in there, whether we like to acknowledge it or not. Now, some of the conspiracy theories might be completely asinine, but underneath all the bullshit, there may be a nugget of truth. What we've seen in the last couple years is, in fact, many of the so-called conspiracy theories have actually kind of been true. Like Hunter Biden's laptop was real. COVID came from China. And the vaccine doesn't stop the spread. You can, in fact, still get COVID after you got the jab. Now, this isn't me telling you don't get the jab. If you want to, go right ahead. Who gives a shit? You do you. But mandating people to take a jab that is proven to not have 100% efficacy might look a bit like a financial scheme, but I digress. As much as I dislike Jen Psaki, she has a point. What is the end game for candidates defending Trump? The reason that MSNBC and other left-leaning news media outlets talk about Trump 24 hours a day, 7 days a week is because they actually want him to get the nomination. If you for 1 second think that Democrats do not want Donald Trump as the Republican presidential candidate, you're living on the moon, okay? They absolutely want Donald Trump to be the nominee. Why is that? because he gives Joe Biden the best chance to win, or whoever runs in his place, assuming that those audio tapes come out. Kind of damning. I, for one, don't want to see either of them. America has a deep seated hatred for both of the candidates. The only way we're going to move forward is if we get some fresh blood on Capitol Hill and in the White House. Like, that's it. Uncle Rico, you're crazy. Democrats don't want Donald Trump to get the nominee. Well, if you think that's the case, look no further than the amount of money that Democrat lobbyists gave to extreme Republican candidates.
This is Republican State Senator Doug Mastriano.
Mastriano won that primary, and it seems like the money Democrats spent on the attack ad it might have actually helped Mastriano win that race. Far-right candidate has a real shot at the governor's office. Now, Democrats are running the same playbook in Maryland, with one Democratic group spending more than $1 million on advertising that elevated Republican candidate for governor Dan Cox.
Tonight, you, the good people of Pennsylvania, you won.
Thank you, Maryland!
Let me repeat that. Democrats paid for Republican campaigns. And these weren't your moderate center-right Republicans. These were the so-called MAGA Republicans that got the stamp from Donald Trump.
He's one of Donald Trump's strongest supporters.
You want to know why we don't have the Senate? Because Dems knew what they were doing. For all the hate that you have, they're smart. They're playing the game. And they know that most sane people don't want insane people running politics. So if you think for one moment that they don't want Donald Trump to get the nod, you're sadly mistaken. Because no matter what, there is just a certain base out there that will not, can't even fathom thinking of voting for Donald Trump. Okay, just the sight of Orange Man bad makes them cringe. Okay, similar to the way that Joe Biden is that to Republicans. Joe Biden has done, I don't know, a million other things to make himself that hated, but people still hate Trump because of his bravado, his brash personality. He's a businessman, and businessmen, especially successful ones, are bulls. They're assholes. They'll stampede you if you're weak. And I think that's what some people like about him. Marsha Blackburn finds new home appliance she's eager to rescue. That must be in reference to the Biden administration going after water heaters now. If you haven't been keeping up on good old climate change and how we are trying to combat that, they are going after water heaters, looking to completely eradicate them by 2029. The painful truth driving Ken's character in the Barbie movie. Splendid. Just what we need in a time like this. More misogynistic rhetoric. When will these people, this should be called the Victim News Network. That's all MSNBC. It's just a band of upset, angry, bitter liberals who are in a perpetual state of victimhood. Newsflash, victims, you never overcome if you stay entrenched in victimhood. You forgive, you move on. That used to be a thing. You can't move on if you don't forgive and forget. But somewhere along the line, it has become don't forgive, never forget. 9/11. How Florida's new education standards are resurrecting old racist tropes. Boy, oh boy, they never stop. DeSantis pretends he has nothing to do with Florida's new slavery curriculum. You see, they use these words and they prey upon Black people. And more importantly, white guilters. Because honestly, African Americans are done with this shit. There's definitely, obviously, some that are going to be a part of that movement, no matter what. They think they're Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., Al Sharpton, etc., etc. They're never going to not beat that banner until I don't know, white people are in chains. Maybe even then it wouldn't be enough. But the majority of African Americans don't want to be told that they're less than, that they've been perceived as less than, and that they've been living in a country that sees them as less than, that every sort of success that they've had has been despite America instead of because of America. It's all backwards. They like them trapped down there in an angry, violent state of chaos. My thing is for African Americans who are loyal to the Democrat brand, what have they given you? It's been since the 60s since you guys have flipped over there, knowing full well that that was the party that literally filibustered on the floor, the longest in history, to make sure that the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was not passed.
April 10th, President Johnson phoned up one of the members of the Southern Bloc, the senator from West Virginia, Robert Byrd.
I just don't know, man, I have better friendship than I got with you.
Well, the only thing that I won't go along with, Mr. President, you and I have already discussed, and that's the Civil Rights Bill.
Well, you don't have to go along on it, but make them vote on it.
Well, no, sir, I wouldn't make them vote on it because I know if they vote on it, they're going to get it. And if a man starts to come in my house, if I can't beat him with my fist, I'm going to take a poker to him. So the only way we can win here is to not let them vote.
They did not want that. They did not want to abolish slavery. They didn't want to, what is the word in school when you can't have whites and blacks sitting next to each other? Segregation. They loved segregation, loved it. And somehow, because they started giving out welfare, they became the champions for these communities. And in 60 years, where have we gotten? We're worse than ever. We're more divided than ever. People have more opportunities across the board equally. Yet, playing victim never, ever wins. What is it that's so bad that ideal wise, moral wise, that Republicans are selling? Is the question. Now, I get abortion's a big one. Okay. LGBTQ rights are a big one. Well, most African Americans aren't pro LGBTQ. A, look at the numbers. And B, abortions egregiously hurt African American communities. Margaret Sanger, the creator of Planned Parenthood, was into eugenics and thought that black people should, in fact, be eradicated. Anybody who was poor and uneducated needed to be wiped off the planet. Hint, hint, do the math. Person who thinks that people are too poor and stupid shouldn't exist, create a way for them to kill their progeny and offspring. Ding, ding, ding. But you vote for that. You vote for that idea. I don't get it. And then you let white people tell you how to feel constantly. When Joe Biden said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
An old, rich white man telling black people that they weren't, in fact, black if they didn't follow what Master said.
I'm curious. What makes you such a Mandingo expert?
I'm curious what makes you so curious.
Kind of interesting when you think about it. And I think we're already seeing kind of a shift. There's more and more African Americans moving to the conservative movement because frankly, they're tired of it. You know, they don't want to be told that Florida's resurrecting old racist tropes. And to be honest, when you go to the people, when you look at the crowds that are fighting these issues, they're a bunch of 20-year-old white kids that have nothing to do with the problems of lower income areas. While we're busy talking about all this race stuff, The reality is people more closely identify with their income levels than the color of their skin.
Are you done? Are you done?
So middle class people are more likely to operate like middle class people. Lower income people are more likely to operate like lower income people. High income people more likely to behave like high income people. Rich people don't really give a shit about the color of their skin. They care about the money.
But if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
The middle class don't really care about the color of their skin or the color of your skin. They care about what they can do and their rights. And people on the bottom, they don't care about the color of your skin per se. They more care about why they don't have what you have. That's what it is.
Are you done? Are you done?